Om Vakradunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastabhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karashyami Siddhe Bhavatu Me Sada Apar Karuna Sindhum Jnanadam Shantarupinam Sri Chandrasekhara Gurum Pranamami Mudanvakam Yat Kripalesha Matrena Puman Purna Prajayate Tam Vande Brahma Vidhuryam Sadgurum Chandrasekharam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Bhavato Sahano Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Atha Shashtodhyayaha
Atha Shashtodhyayaha.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha.
Shloka number 32. 31 we have done now. 32. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna
Atmopanyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna.
sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha
Sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha.
So in the previous shloka it was said, Sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mayi vartate. Who that yogi, who has a mission of oneness, sarvabhuta stitam mam, ekattam hastitaha san bhajati. So the one ekattam hastitaha bhajati, who knows, who has recognized me as the one residing in all the beings, and that yogi, whichever avastha or whatever we may be doing, sayogi, the one who has this knowledge, ekattam asitaha mam bhajati, saka yogi mam mayi vartate. Whatever he or she may be doing, or whichever avastha he or she may remain, in me alone they remain. So, therefore, the question is asked: will the person be doing which are not keeping with dharma? So that with the jnani will he do adharmika karma? No. Even in Swapna he cannot do. Only jnani can be really a dharmika purusha. So Bhagavan is the order. Sayogi mayi vartate. So he remains with Bhagavan. Therefore, how can he violate the order? He cannot. Even for the sake of argument, if such a person were to commit murder, killing, the action of killing, the person would not be away from me because he or she is a doer. Now the next question of course arises, could such a person commit such papa, such a jnani, who has the mission of ekatvam, oneness, recognizes me, sarvabhutasthita in all beings, will he do Such papa, no. Adharmika karma is impossible for such a person. But it said here, Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati, Arjuna. Atmaupamyena, upamyena. So that person, he takes himself as a basis and he sees all the pleasure and pain as same. That yogi is paramo mataha, is the exalted person. That person, the yogi, takes himself or herself as the basis in all situation with regard to the pain or pleasure a person experiences. A certain situation gives pleasure, may give pleasure or pain. So, therefore, he knows any jiva, when subject to such a condition, will be feeling pain or pleasure, like oneself. That yogi has that empathy. Therefore, he will not do any adharmika karma. If one who taking himself as an example, Aupamyena, he takes himself as a sample, example, basis. Sarvatra, in all situations, sees pleasure or pain, sukham yadiva dukkham, pashyati, as what? As the same. That is, as I suffer when I experience pain, as I feel happy when I experience sukham, when there is comfort, so do all the beings. So he himself he takes himself as an example, as a basis. So that person is the most exalted. So that is how can a jnani perform, how can a jnani can commit wrong action? Impossible. He cannot. So here Bhagavan obviates the problem of whether the wise person can perform any action of adharma by showing that there is no way of his doing that. For such a person, what is the example? What is upama? What is the standard? What is the basis? Atma is the basis. Oneself is the basis. The self itself becomes the example. Upamyam. Example. Upama, from the word upama, upamyam comes. Upama means example. Upamanam. One who is himself as an example sees that which is equal in all beings, sarvata samam pashyati, as being equal to oneself alone. So it is one who is oneself as an example sees that which is equal in all beings as being equal to oneself. In all the beings, Paramatma is the same. Paramatma is me also, Ahamatma, Paramatma. So everything being Brahma, everything being Paramatma. How can the person commit any adharmika karma, papa karma? Impossible. Because the person sees everything as Ishvara. So therefore he cannot commit any karma which are against dharma. Yes, the vision of Aham Atma Brahma, that Atma is everywhere, everything is Atma. Therefore, we cannot commit any papa karma, any karma which are not proper, which are not in keeping with dharma. That is the meaning. So taking oneself as an example means oneself Atma. So the same Atma in all the beings. So therefore, how can he commit papa? So that yogi is the most exalted person. It means he is the jnani is the most exalted person in terms of jnana, who takes himself, as an example, sees that which is equal in all beings. So there is no disparity among the beings. Sarvatra samam pashyati. Therefore, he cannot even think of harming others. The person doesn't look upon others from any other matrix except himself or herself alone. So he looks upon every being as himself. With reference to all beings, the vision is equal. Vyomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. Sarvabhuta stitam mam. Sarvabhutastamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani. In all this shloka, sarvatra samadarshanaha, this jnani. So therefore, how can he have the vision that the beings, others are separate from oneself? He cannot. Everything is Ishvara. Therefore, he cannot look upon anyone or any being as different from himself or herself. With reference to all the beings, the vision is equal, same. One who looks upon others as oneself alone, for which the basis is the oneself, the basis of the example of oneself. This is one meaning. One who looks upon others as oneself alone on the basis of, you need to have some basis, some standard, some example, on the basis of the example of oneself. This is one meaning. There's another meaning also. See later. The second line of the shloka, Sukamba Yadiva Dukkam, Sayogi Paramo Mataha. The vision of sameness, maybe the person may have in times of pleasure. What about times of dukkam? No, in both. It pointed out terms of happiness and pleasure. Sukhamma yadiva dukkam. Whatever may be the situation, sukha situation or dukkha situation, the vision is same. My happiness, sukha, my welfare. Everyone desires one's welfare. So highly desirable to me. Therefore, I go for it. Similarly for all the beings also, which is the same for everyone. Every being is equally interested in its own sukha. Therefore, I become the standard, I become the matrix, the basis for my interaction with other beings. This is general. Similarly, dukkha also. What is not desirable for me is not desirable for anyone else also. What is desirable for me, the pleasures, sukham, comfort, that is desirable by others also. So, therefore, what is the basis of dharma? Here you can see how dharma itself is born. The very basis of dharma is universal mutual expectation of the people. What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do to others. You don't want to be hurt, you don't hurt others. So what I expect of others is what others expect of me. This is the universal mutual expectation on which only the entire dharma is placed. When this is violated, when this is not understood and violated, there only comes a split personality, split thinking. If what is desirable, sukha for me, is desirable for others. Others also want sukham. What is undesirable for me, dukkham, that is undesirable for others also. Provided sukha gives pleasure and the dukkha, the situation gives pain. If it gives pain to me, the same thing will give pain to others also. As it is for me, so it is for others. So therefore, this is a norm. This is a common basis, which is what is meant by dharma. That violence is not a sukhanubhava. Somebody hitting me, beating me, it is painful. So too when I do to others. So that is the basis. What is the basis? I am the basis. Atmaupamyena. So I am the standard, the basis, with reference to the experience of pleasure or pain of all beings. So Jnani takes himself as a standard, the basis, the norm for the sukham or dukkam. Sukham and dukkam experienced as he experiences. So that becomes the basis. So therefore that the dharma is the basis of dharma is pointed out. Now, having had the vision of sameness in all beings, yes, jnanam, then the person discussed here will not do what is not desirable. Being a jnani, because he has atma darshanam, brahma darshanam, ekatva darshanam, therefore he cannot do what is not desirable, even in dream. Therefore, Bhagavan says, Bhagavan said in the previous shloka, he remains in me. Whatever the person does, he or she remains in me. Because Bhagavan will never do, they will harm any being, because he's Bhagavan, he's the Lord. We are the children of him. So how can Bhagavan even think of harming his people? So therefore, sarvata vartamanopi sayogi mai vartate. In whichever situation he may be, he is in me alone. So that is explained here. What was said there could not be understood to mean that a jnani could do things that are adharma, yet he remains in Ishvara. If this possibility is there, one may think whether this possibility is for that. This answer is given in the form of this shloka. Answering the question, will such a person do action that are considered to be wrong, adharma? No. Bhagavan says, no, it is not possible. Because what is good for the jnani is good for others too. This is not only for the jnani, it is universal. What is good for me is good for others. What is not good for me is not good for others too. Happiness is what is I desire. So, other beings also, they want happiness. I don't want painful situations. Others do. Whereas in the case of Ajnani, he violates dharma. There is even if the person follows dharma, but there is every possibility, given the situation, compelling situation, he may yield and may commit adharma. But Jnani will not do. That is why he said Jnani is always a dharmika purusha. His dharma is always spontaneous. Because, yes, the vision of oneness, all the beings are same. So therefore it is not possible, because what is good for Jnani is good for others too. He sees sameness in all the beings. And what is bad for the Jnani is bad for others also. If the Jnani doesn't like getting hurt, then he or she is not going to hurt anyone else. In this way, the ahimsa, which was practiced before as a part of the sadhana, now it becomes sadhya, becomes spontaneous, natural to the Jnani. Like in the second chapter, Chatuprajna Lakshana, there Swamiji says, fake it and make it. In the beginning, all this were the sadhana means. Later it becomes sadhya. So ahimsa has a value to be practiced. But for Jnani, there is no practice, it becomes its nature. So that is what is said here. Even for Viveki, a simple mature person, ahimsa is a very common dharma. But even though the person is a Viveki, because of this situation, compelling situation, some pressing circumstances, he may slip from following dharma, whereas Jnani can never. And for a Jnani who has lived a life of dharma and who has deliberately pursued and gained the knowledge, dharma becomes spontaneous. It's very natural. He will never violate dharma. If you look at any crime like hurting another person or any kind of action considered to be adharma, again, there is always a small ego. Every ego is small, in fact. The big ego also is small, because any ego being just a bubble filled with air. Whether the bubble is big or small, it is nothing but air. There is nothing to this big ego business. Just so much air. That's why we said the person has so much air. Ego itself is a false entity. False entity appearing real. This false entity is what is behind every adharmic karma, behind every crime, large or small. The nature of this ego. What kind of ego is this? The ego of an insecure person. Who has this ego? The insecure person. What about the Jnani? Jnani is no more insecure. Therefore, the ego of a Jnani is not insecure. It's not due to insecurity. Whereas ego generally of an insecure person, an insecure ego, that alone has got fear and greed. Because it has fear and greed, therefore it is insecure. Because it is insecure, therefore it is frightened. A frightened person or greedy person can perform actions that are not committed to dharma. So that is ego is a cause. The insecure ego is a cause for adharmic karma. In fact, all unbecoming actions, adharmic karma, unbecoming actions, not proper, improper actions, stem from the insecure ego. Ego is not secure, doesn't feel secure. It has fear, it has insecurity, therefore commits karma which are adharma. And no ego is insecure. That is why egoistic person, they follow dharma because of the fear of punishment, not out of, not that, not because it's nature. Because the nature of ego is isolation, the ego is there, therefore there is dvaita. Insecurity is there, therefore dvaita, duality. Others are not, others are different from me. There is no oneness. There is no, the oneness cannot be appreciated by the insecure ego. Therefore, dvaita. In the Bhagavad Upanishad, it is said, wherever there is duality, yatra yatra dvaitam bhavati, tatra bhayam bhavati. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. The Vakya, famous Vakya. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. Because of duality, there is fear. Because second thing insignificates me. Second thing makes me small. And ego doesn't want to be small, always wants to become big. Therefore, bhayam, there is fear, there is, and therefore there is action not keeping with dharma. A similar statement is found in Taittiriya Upanishad also, conveying the same sense. Udaramantaram kurute atatasya bhayam bhavati. Therefore, the original duality is a duality between the individual, the jiva, and the Ishvara. Jiveshvara Dvaita, meaning the Ishvara is something other than myself. This Dvaita makes you small. If everything is Ishvara, if Ishvara is everything else, you become whatever is left out. Naturally, then you become small. Everything else is infinitely large and you are small. Dvaitam. And once this original Dvaitam is there, then there is a Dvaita between the individual and the another Jiva Jiva Dvaita, Jiva Jagat Dvaita. The Jiveshwara Dvaitam is there, therefore Jiva Jiva Dvaita, Veda, Dvaita is Veda, difference. I'm different from others, I'm different from the Jagat, I'm different from Ishvara. So Dvaita Bhayam Bhavati. Now, if the duality between Jiva and between Jiva and Jagat is real, then the duality between Jiva and Ishvara also real. Why? Because Jiva Jiva Dvaita, Jiva Jagat Dvaita are real, then the Jagat is there. There must be Ishvara other than this Jagat. So therefore, Ishvara is also another guy, just like any other Jiva. Between him and other Jivas, including myself, there is difference. And between all these Anatmas and myself, there will be difference. This is Veda Drishti. The Veda Drishti, Dvaita Drishti causes fear. So all the way there is difference between Dvaita, between the Jivas, Jagat and Ishvara. So Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Tripati, the Veda. This is a lot of the Ajnanis. If there is Dvaita between the Jivas, between the Jiva and the Jagat, between the Jagat and the Ishvara, because three things are the Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, and each one is different from the other, therefore Dvaita. If there is Dvaita between the three, then you are separate from that other two is established. Your isolation is, your alienation is established. Therefore, your mortality is established, your imperfection is established, your inadequacy is established, your insignificant is established, your insecurity is established, all of which now accompanied by greed, fear, pain, and sorrow, etc. Therefore, the ego is due to ajnanam. Ajnanam is therefore ego is. So since ego implies isolation, and behind every crime there is ego, every adharmic karma, crime, adharmic karma there is ego. But here, Bhagavan says, talking about the one who has pricked, who has just blasted the bubble of this ego. The bubble, the ego is no longer there. The individuality, the sense of limitation, ignorance not there, therefore how can? Ignorance is the cause of everything. That being not there, then the karya, the effect ego, that also will not be there. Ego is ignorance based. Ignorance not there. Ignorance with regard to oneself. Ignorance of Atma, oneself, not there. So ego is ignorance based, ignorance of Atma. When ignorance is gone, ego also gone. The smallness is gone. Inadequacy is gone. The fear of sorrow, the fear of greed, the fear is gone. Security is gone. Once the ignorance of Atma is gone, then all that remains is one Atma, Atma alone, Param Brahma. There is no ego anymore. And when the ego is not there, where is the question of person doing anything which is not proper? That's why we say is action becomes spontaneously dharmic. Therefore, dharma is order Ishvara. Therefore, since the person abides in Ishvara alone, so yogi mayi vartate, therefore sukuma yadiva dukkam, so yogi mayi vartate, even if he is pain, he will not take to adharma. The person abides in Ishvara, mayi vartate, because Ishvara is everything, and I am not different from Ishvara. All the Veda, Dvaita is gone. The Veda Buddhi is gone because of Jnanam. Therefore, Mayi vartate, Ishvare vartate. But for the sake of argument, you can say that the person can do anything he or she likes, even though the person still does very things, whatever else, whatever these maybe are over or done. Person is remains in me alone. This is Shastram. Even for the sake of argument, even if the person commits crime, he remains in me alone. So that is what is said here. When the Bhagavan says remaining me alone, it means the person is never separate from him. The person is separate from Tasyaham na pranashyami, sachamena pranashyati. In other words, the person and the Lord are one and the same. It's not remote, away from the Lord. And the Lord is not away from him. It means they are one and the same. Therefore, the person who has this equal vision, sarvatra samadarshanaha, the person, he has got samadarshanam, brahmadarshanam. Therefore, he has no necessity to do things that are not in keeping with dharma. He doesn't have to satiate his ego being not there. Therefore, he will be spontaneously dharmika. In fact, he only can be dharmika, really dharmika. The rules, the Veda Vidhi Nisheda, it's only for others, not for the Jnani. That is why the person after Jnanam, he goes beyond Veda. Veda also not valid for him. It ceases that the purpose of Veda is solved, therefore Veda has no validity for the Jnani. But Veda has validity for all the Ajnani Jiva. So therefore, a person who has this equal vision, he has no necessity to do things that are not keeping with dharma. This person sees that what is sukha for him or her is also sukha for that. That is what Atma Upamyena, taking oneself as the basis. What is dukkha for him or her is dukkha for other as well. This we can see in the life of Ramana Maharshi, a beautiful incident. When Ramana Maharshi was ill, that time he was served some herbal juice. When everybody was in the dining hall eating, Ramana Maharshi also was sitting. When he saw that he was being served the herbal juice, then when he asked what it was that, then it was told it is for his health. And he said, if it is good for me, then it should be good for all. So let it be served to all the people. That is the Atma Upamyena Sarvatra. That is the vision of oneness. But will the person who has this vision not compromise it anyway? After all, most people understand what makes them happy or unhappy affects others the same way, but still they do not always behave according to dharma. This is the lot of ajnani, not that of the jnani. Suppose something becomes so important to this person, is it not possible that the vision will be set aside, temporary at least? Impossible. It cannot be. He cannot even for a minute keep this vision aside and make himself separate from the Lord. Therefore, in fact, this problem will never arise because for the person who has this vision, there is no notion that I am limited. Only when ignorance is there, such thing can happen. Ignorance not there. There is no sense of limitation. There is only knowledge, not that Atma is all beings and all beings are in Atma alone. Sarvabhuta Stitam Mam Ishwaram. I am in all the beings and all the beings are in me. Therefore, such a person, the ego of such a person is nullified, sublated, badita. It is just The Vyavahara, it is real. For the sake of Vyavahara, it is real. It has no real, really, it is not really real. It is not really real. So it is just, that's what we say, it is sublated. It is sublated ego. Therefore, this person is for whom ahimsa is natural. Therefore, this person for whom the ahimsa is natural, which is in fact that is the spirit of sannyasa. A person who has this clear vision of Atma, samyak darshana nishta, who is naturally spontaneously, naturally given to ahimsa, who no longer needs to practice ahimsa deliberately because it is his very nature, is described here as Sayogi Paramaha Mataha, is the most exalted. This is one interpretation of this shloka. Second interpretation, we will see later. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha.